Here's your wrestling news for November 9th, 2021. And your headlines for today include: Top Raw superstar turns heel on WWE champion Big E. Recently released superstar's attitude was always bad. Keith Lee makes shocking claim about how WWE treats talent. WWE teases huge push for former tag team champion on latest Raw. AEW confirms plans for final Dynamite on TNT and first on TBS. Former WWE superstar confirms new plans with Playboy, and more. We're kicking off today with news from Raw, as Kevin Owens has been a featured name since returning to the Red brand. Trying to prove he wasn't a bad person after his actions last week, Owens sought validation from other babyfaces on this week's show, speaking to Big E, Rey Mysterio, and even R-Truth. Seth Rollins was more than happy to stir the pot, as he told Big E it's better to trust the devil he knew than the one he didn't, referring to the altercation Owens and E had last week, which culminated in Owens receiving a big ending. In the main event between Owens and Rollins, all it took was 1 second of confusion that made Big E cost the prizefighter the match, as Rollins won the encounter via countout. After plenty of build, Owens finally turned heel, attacking Big E and delivered a vicious pop-up powerbomb to the apron. Rollins may have a guaranteed WWE title shot against Big E, but it's clear that WWE are inserting Owens into the title picture at a very interesting time in his career. With his current contract set to expire on January 31st next year, this push could be an attempt to coax the prizefighter into re-signing, and a lengthy, successful reign as WWE Champion could be exactly what's needed to keep Kevin Owens around. Last week, Keith Lee was released from his WWE contract, but his departure was down to more than just budget cuts. Shortly after his departure, it was reported that Lee had attitude problems during his latter months with the company, as he didn't appreciate the various changes made to his character. It turns out that Lee's poor attitude was more than just during his last run, as when Ringside News asked around, one member of WWE's creative team said the Limitless One's attitude was always bad. Despite this bad attitude, Lee was given repeated opportunities in WWE, becoming a North American and NXT champion, and was pushed heavily upon joining Raw. Explaining this, the same source said that, "In an era where there are no new stars and a 350-pound man with his level of agility is on the roster, you push him." WWE continued to push Keith Lee despite a reported consistent backstage attitude, and we'll have to see if these same problems follow the former superstar when his non-compete clause expires in February next year. As if being released from WWE wasn't bad enough, this release came just days before Lee's birthday, as he turned 37 yesterday. On social media, the Limitless One said it wasn't a happy birthday, but he was grateful as he nearly died this year due to a series of medical issues. Lee then made a huge claim about WWE, saying that he had to pay for all his medical bills that stemmed from his hiatus that lasted from February to July this year. The former superstar was out of action because of a positive test and then battled inflammation of the heart, which nearly killed him. Lee said he finds it funny that people believe anyone but him paid for his medical expenses, and concluded by saying he's open-minded and that the future seems limitless. Whatever future Lee has in store will have to wait until his non-compete clause ends, but the former NXT champion isn't wasting time making some huge claims about his ex-employer. AEW seems like a likely home for Keith Lee, as the company already hosts a lot of former WWE talent, but Tony Khan's promotion has now had to make a major change. On January 12th next year, Dynamite was meant to be at the Uno Lakecroft Arena in New Orleans, but that show is now off. In a statement, AEW confirmed that this show has been postponed to April 13th, 2022, due to what's described as a scheduling conflict. Fans with tickets for the original January date can still use their ticket for April 13th or can receive a refund at their point of purchase. This scheduling conflict is strange, as the University of New Orleans basketball teams, who use the Lakecroft Arena, don't appear to have any events, and we'll have to wait until January to see what show forced Tony Khan to delay this Dynamite. We've got some sad news to report now, as Judy Bagwell, mother of WCW star Buff Bagwell, has died aged 78. Her passing was confirmed by Buff on social media, saying that she died after a battle with dementia. Judy first appeared in WCW storylines back in 1998, where she was selected as the tag partner of Rick Steiner, becoming a WCW World Champion in the process. In 2000, Judy had a handful of matches, but the encounter between her son and Chris Kanyon, in which she was suspended above the ring on a forklift, remains an iconic image from the company's final year. It's always difficult to lose a parent, and we're sending our deepest condolences to Buff and the entire Bagwell family on this sad news. More from Raw next, as Chad Gable is looking for a big push now that he's back on the Red brand, and this week tried to coerce Big E to join the Alpha Academy. Instead of accepting Gable's offer, the WWE Champion instead had a match with the Olympian, which didn't go how you'd expect. Instead of what could have easily been a squash match to further Big E's status, fans saw a surprising amount of offense from Gable, who had control for much of the match despite the size difference between the two. Ultimately, Big E got the win as expected after Otis was late trying to break up the pin. A confrontation between Big E and Otis was teased, but the biggest story from this segment was that WWE was dipping their toes in a possible Chad Gable singles push, as the former SmackDown Tag Team Champion may finally achieve singles success now that he's back on Raw. Ever since WWE's releases last week, there's been a lot of talk about vaccines and whether wrestlers need them in order to perform. It's reported that several of the 18 names let go by WWE last week were unvaccinated, which would have prevented them working at certain arenas and overseas, and this was a factor in the company's decision. AEW had its fair share of positive tests last year, but the situation seems under control there now, even if wrestlers aren't required to take the jab. Speaking to PW Torch, Tony Khan was asked if the company has a mandatory vaccine policy, and he responded saying that vaccines are not mandatory in AEW. He added, "I've got that most of the roster in AEW is vaccinated. For example, there have been some places we went where everybody had to be vaccinated, and I think when the companies start doing international travel, we'll see that for Canada and England, places like that, it'll be very difficult for wrestlers to travel without it." Khan's lack of policy is interesting, as AEW has ran shows where proof of vaccination has been mandatory for fans to enter, such as September's Grand Slam Dynamite from Queens, New York. Back to WWE, and this Friday, Universal Champion Roman Reigns will face King Woods, but a massive stipulation has been added to the match. Neither the Universal title nor the King of the Ring crown will be on the line, but it's been confirmed that the two will face off for the right to say who truly rules SmackDown. Becoming King of the Ring was a lifelong dream for Woods, who's already facing WWE's top superstars now that he's been crowned, and we'll have to see who emerges supreme this week. Next year, AEW Dynamite will move to TBS, with the first episode on the network set to take place on January 5th. We now know more about the future plans for the show, as Tony Khan revealed plenty about upcoming Dynamites this week. On Twitter, Khan confirmed the final Dynamite of the TNT era will air on December 29th and will fittingly air from Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida. This taping will also feature AEW Rampage, which will air on New Year's Eve 2 nights later. As for Dynamite on TBS, the first show will air from the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey, with the January 7th Rampage also being taped that night. Tickets for those shows will go on sale this Friday, and we expect such an important night for AEW to sell out very quickly. AEW has also announced its first time in Flair Country, with the December 22nd tapings of Dynamite and Rampage set to air from the Greensboro Coliseum in Greensboro, North Carolina. Time will tell if Ric Flair appears on that show, as the backlash from his Dark Side of the Ring comments continue to linger over the two-time Hall of Famer, but whether he appears or not, AEW has a lot of huge plans in the coming couple of months. And we're ending today with Chelsea Green, who is kept busy since her release from WWE. Following her departure this past April, Green expressed a desire to work with both Playboy and Barstool Sports, plans that would have not been possible had she remained in WWE. On the latest episode of her Green with Envy podcast, the former WWE superstar explained that she's in talks with Playboy, but quickly explained that it wasn't a photo shoot. Instead, Green described the plans as digital stuff and said that her ideas have progressed from conversations to a little more serious stuff. As for Barstool Sports, Green said she'd been waiting for a response to her request, but that went unanswered, and as a result, she's decided to move on. Claiming to be sworn to secrecy about the Playboy plans, Green is keeping quiet about what exactly is in the works, but we know for definite that it wouldn't have been an option for her if she were still working for Vince McMahon. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.